I never really understood why someone would want to climb a mountain. It's desolate, it's cold. You climb for days and you get to the highest point, only to turn back and head down with nothing to show for your hard work. So why do we climb mountains? What is it about an unclimbed mountain that beckons us towards its peak?
I don't think anybody goes there because it's so freaking nasty. I mean, it's not spectacular mountains. These are coastal mountains. They're big volcanoes. They're not super technical. They're highly glaciated, and they're not easy to get to. And so why would you go there?
Even still, in August of 2007, knowing full well all of the above, an expedition of 4 stepped off a small water plane in Alaska. With a common goal to climb the mountain named after their alma mater, they began their march towards the summit.
My name's Chris Dickey. I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I work for a public relations company that deals in outdoor sports. Mount Denison has kind of waxed and waned in the consciousness of the school. Back in the early 1900s, we had a guy named Curtly Mather who was a Denison grad, I think 1908, if my memory serves me correct.
And Mather is the person who gave the name to Mount Denison. He was in Alaska in 1923 looking for oil. They didn't find much oil, but they took a visit to the Aleutian Range, and the highest peak was there, and he thought, that should be called Mount Denison. And so from 1923 on, we have had a mountain named after the college.
I think the metaphor of climbing a mountain, and particularly climbing an unclimbed mountain, is a perfect metaphor for what Denison is all about. Denison is about achievement. Denison is about striving for a higher goal.
Denison purports to be a liberal arts college, and Curtly Mather is a spectacular example of a liberal arts scientist. Number one, he was trained in geology. He got a PhD in geology, and he taught at Harvard from 1924 to 1954 on the active faculty as a geologist. So he was certainly a scientist. But he also was an expert witness at the 1925 Scopes trial because he believed that science and religion had a dual place.
Our second objective was to present to the court and through the mass media to the world at large the facts on which the doctrine of evolution is based, and explain why that doctrine is so important in almost every field of science.
So he's a perfect example of somebody who really wants to put together science, society, and education. The American science establishment said this man really exemplifies what science and politics really should be doing in this country, and Mather became their president.
People kind of forgot about the mountain for a while, and then In the 70s, it was kind of resurrected by an adventurous professor and group at Denison University who's taking students out to the Tetons, so climbing in the summers and various places around the U.S. And they found out about this mountain, and they found out that it existed and it had never been climbed to their knowledge or to anyone's knowledge. So they put together this group of people, and it was led by faculty members at Denison University, and then they had a couple students and a couple recent alumni, and they went out there in 1977.
I'm John Ferracci, class of 1972 at Denison, and was on the first Mount Denison expedition in 1977. A couple professors on the trip. There were, I think, in the initial expedition, 2 women. So when you put together a group of people that are going off to try something they haven't tried before, and they know each other somewhat but not very well over a long period of time, a couple weeks, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about them, and you bond together as a team, whether you're successful or not.
They flew in from King Salmon, which is on the other side of the Aleutian Peninsula, and they had terrible weather. I think it was August that they tried it, and it basically rained the whole time. They couldn't see anything.
We were in our tents, belaying each other out the door in total whiteouts, and 5 feet away they disappear into just a total whiteout.
And after spending about 2 weeks on the glacier, just in split piece fog and rain, they decided this wasn't worth it, and they came back and they went out there and spent 2 weeks on that mountain, and they never even saw the summit. They never even saw Mount Denison. They knew they were in the right place, but never saw Mount Denison.
We were stuck on the beach for a number of days because of bad weather, waiting for the bush pilots to pick us up, and living off razorback clams and salmon that we caught with our crampons and ice axes in the stream. I bet some of us were thinking about coming back. I know I was.
Here's to their fortitude, because the next year they went back and they claimed the summit. They got there, and they changed it around. They're plotting a little bit better. They had a better idea of the landscape, and that same group went back the following year and made the first ascent of Mount Denison in 1978. So we go, we pack the plane, it's raining outside, 40 degrees, and we take off from Kodiak Island, go over to Aleutian Peninsula, Katmai National Park. And as we're flying over there, it's just a gorgeous flight, but it was sobering because our bush pilot flew us over the glacier, and we saw our entire route, and we saw what it looked like up high, and man, there's a lot of crevasses, and there are a lot of huge holes in that crevasse, and there's a lot of really steep faces, and you know, at that point, we all looked down, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, the little lines on a topo map mean something, and you look at the lines on the topo map, and you look at the actual geographic landscape, and you're like, oh shit, it's formidable.